Welcome back to the commentary of Once Upon Two Times. If you've just found this video and you don't know what it is, I recommend that you go and listen to the first one first. This is a narrative commentary, so it's going to make more sense if you listen to them in order. Unless you don't want to. If you want to listen to them in random order, want to be completely chaotic, then go for it. I will not judge you. You have my blessing. But don't blame me if it does not make sense. Okay, so this is Remember the Days, which is the second track on the album, and I'd say it's probably the cornerstone of the album in a way. So I wrote this a long time before the others, and I didn't write it with this whole story in mind. I was listening to the song You Know Where to Find Me by Imogen Heap, and at the very end there's this section, and I love that section. It's like one of my favourite bits of the whole song, but the first time I listened to it I expected the tune to go somewhere slightly different and the chords to go somewhere slightly different to where they did, and that happens occasionally to me, and whenever that happens I always try and sit down on the piano and try and figure out what I'd expected to hear and see if I can follow that and compose something with that. So that's what this was, which I think is really cool. I really love doing that. And so then this track has got it's got three of the main leitmotifs in it. So it's got the main themes for the two main characters, which get expanded on in later tracks. And then of course this main theme, which is the Remember the Days theme, which I mentioned in the last commentary. So I'll explain a bit about that, but I'll explain it by telling you the story. So this track is about these two main characters. They don't have names exactly, but they describe themselves as the ruin by the sea and the forest burning to the ground. So I'm going to call them Ruin and Forest for the sake of clarity. The two of them were found in the desert as children, and someone took them into their community, and they raised them together, this community. And they both seemed like normal children, but they actually had special abilities. So Ruin could turn into an owl, and Forest could turn into a harrier, or a hawk if you like. They also had abilities to manipulate time. So Ruin can make time slow down, and Forest can make it speed up. But they both realise this about themselves, and they tell each other, but they keep it secret from the rest of the community they're in, because they figured that's probably not a normal thing to be able to do, and they already know that they're not normal because they were found in the desert and they don't know why they were abandoned there. But they also stop aging when they reach adulthood, so and they can't hide that because everybody can see it, because the people who raised them die. The people who were children at the same time as they came into the community grow old and die, and it sort of becomes really obvious that they are not normal. And all these people who grew up, who raised them, who grew up with them, are no longer around to root for them and defend them, so then the villagers get really, really nervous of them, and this sort of grows until eventually they decide to exile them both into the desert again. So then the two of them are left wandering on in the desert on their own, and I think they're quite sad about it. It hurts for a while, because I mean they've been abandoned in the desert already once as children. Now they're abandoned again, but they start exploring their world, and they decide that actually they kind of prefer it with just the two of them. They can depend on each other in a way that they can't depend on anyone else, and they understand each other in a way that no one else can. So they grow really close, and they decide that they prefer it with just the two of them exploring the world, that it's better off that way. They also start wearing these masks. So Ruin has a barn owl mask, and Forest has like a harrier mask, just so that people can't recognise them or can't tell that they're not aging, that sort of thing. But yeah, so this is the song that they sing to each other to sort of affirm that they don't need anybody else, that they're they're better off just the two of them, and that they're always going to be there for each other, that sort of thing. So you can hear when the tune has like harmony parts and it's underneath the whole thing. That's the younger version of Ruin and Forest singing. But there's also another tune that goes on the top, which is a much older version of Ruin, and she is singing from much further along in the story, and she's basically looking back on this time and thinking, that was better, that was how it was supposed to be always, and it's not like that anymore, because basically lots of stuff happens that you will find out about in later commentaries, but she and Forest are not with each other anymore. They're far apart, and Forest basically hates her for various reasons. So they're both separate, they're both hurting, and Ruin sings this alone as sort of a promise to Forest that they'll both get things back to how they were those days, and that things will be better again. I don't think she intends it, but in fact I know she doesn't intend it, but her and Forest are connected still, in a way that I'll explain in the next commentary. And so even though they're far apart, he can actually feel the fact that she's singing this song, and so he does know that she wants things to be better again. But at that point he doesn't act on it. He will, she will, they will get their stuff together, but for the moment they are apart. And that's what this song is about. So then whenever the Remember the Days theme comes in like any other place in the album, it's sort of both of them thinking about their relationship together, how things are supposed to be, how they want things to be. And one of the lines is, well, the main line is, do you remember the days when we were young and unafraid? And that's important for later, so I'll tell you about that later. But for now, I shall stop there. So I hope that makes sense somewhat. And if you have any questions, as always, just let me know.